What's up, Sherpa Network? Thank you for tuning in today. My name is Jonathan Tenenbaum, aka JT, aka J On, aka Sherpa Winfrey, host and producer of Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. Today's show is a Domain Sherpa review. This is where we get into the minds of successful domain investors using real examples so we can learn strategies and tactics to become more successful domain name investors ourselves. These are the experts, the OGs. We got some special guests on the show today that are on. One is on for the first time since I've been host. One is on for the first time ever. So super hyped up. But these are guys that I've known for a long time, and they are absolutely OGs. So to the audience in advance, you're welcome. There are 4 segments to a Domain Sherpa review. We've got the grand opening. That's where I intro the Sherpas, see what's going on with them. We talk about some related things, some unrelated things, some AKAs. Then we got segment 2, which is the domain game. That's where we're going to hear about what the Sherpas recently bought or sold. Everybody guesses on the price. We keep score, and eventually, somehow, some way, someday, get some swag to the winner. Then we got segment 3, which is NameJet Gonna Jet, sponsored by our friends at NameJet, where we review a list of domains coming up for auction and see what the Sherpas like and what they don't like. Last but not least, we'll get grand closing, where we'll discuss anything we haven't already covered, what's going on in the domain space, looking at the market trends, current events, and allowing our guests to mention or promote anything they want to talk about that we have not already discussed. With that, let's go ahead and introduce the Sherpas. Over to my right, I got a special guest for the first time on the show since I've been a host. We've got the one and only Jeff Gabriel, a.k.a. Jeff Leopard, a.k.a. Jazzy Jeff, the Fresh Prince. Oh, you see what I did there? Oh, you saw what I did there?
I saw it.
I saw you standing there. A.k.a. I saw.com. I conquered from record sales to sold out concerts. So if you want this encore, I need you to scream until your lungs get sore. Jeff is the CEO of Saw.com, premium domain brokerage, previously VP of sales at Uniregistry, the man who built Frank Schilling. Tell him.
No, I didn't do that.
Oh, come on, man. Let me tell him that. Let me say it. No, it's all good. But no, look, he put in work at Uniregistry, helping to grow that business. And before that, president and co-founder of Igloo. Before that, domain broker at Sato. He's been in the space for a long time, $350 million plus in domain sales. Notable sales at the time, Guinness World Record breaking sales, sex.com. Let's talk about sex, baby. $15 million. And the highest grossing .org sale ever, poker.org, for $1 million. And so welcome to the show, man. What's happening?
Largest publicly reported .org to me, so.
Oh, Drew with the
caveats. Well, the .org sale, that poker.org sale was back in 2000 and I think 14. Like 12. So I hope that you've beaten it and other people have. And at the time it was a record, and it's like
yes.
Sex.com, it's like, yeah, the record's been broken. And if it hasn't been since then, I mean, that was 15 years ago. We got a fucking problem, right? So I want my records to be beaten, and I want yours to get beaten, and over again with public info. It's great to talk about ones that didn't happen, but I mean, that did happen, we can't talk about, but it's hard to use that to help all of us make bigger sales and substantiate, values. Do you think some of these that are reported as that sale, do you think some of them involve stock that people put a value on? There's a couple of them that I've seen the numbers on, and I'm like, how the fuck is that business supporting that kind of a price for that domain name?
So, I think that's probably true in certain cases. For example, privatejet.com or private jets, I forget which one it was. That was the case. It was like, one guy owns all the stock, and he assigns a value to that stock, and then he gives some stock to the other and says, "Oh, we sold it May for whatever the number was, some stupid number." So that's fugazi. I think there's probably people play all sorts of games, but there are very legit transactions happening in the 8 figures on a pretty regular basis that we've been involved in, that we've been privy to, that I've had stories told to us from clients who had done deals before, that I have high confidence in. I think they're happening more often than people think.
Do you think
I had a random call. Okay, so after the Tim Ferriss interview that I did, I had all these crazy people calling me. You cannot imagine, like, not productive. And
love it.
Just a caveat.
Absolutely.
But one of the sectors that suddenly showed up was all these like wealth management people. All these boutique wealth management people suddenly started reaching out. And I spoke to this one guy, and he's like, man, I listened to that interview, and I really didn't know anything about domain names, but I actually happened to have this client who, sold all these domain names. And, this was a name I had never heard. I'd never seen this person. I never heard of this person. But this guy literally managed the money. And he says he saw the money come in, and that this guy had sold several domain names in the mid 8 figures, not like $10 million, like much more. Yeah. But who knows, but I do think that, here's, I think, the best way to say it. The ones you hear about are more prone to be fugazi with some kind of weird stock deal, overvalued stock, than the ones that you don't hear about. Yeah. Because most of the big ones that do happen, either the buyer or the seller, or in most cases both, do not want that to be public.
That's the problem.
I would imagine that the ones you hear about have a higher propensity of being, fake, or some sort of, maybe not fake is the wrong word, but inflated.
All right, hey, look, I'm super, super excited. For the first time on Domain Sherpa ever, we've got the one and only Steve Miholovich, aka Stevie Miho, aka Dark Mode, aka Stone Cold Steve Miholovich, aka Steve Miholovich, aka Steve Mihala Ain't That a Vitch, aka Latimer, aka Tony Baselli, aka the man in the name arena with all the right moves like Tom Cruise, aka I'm Steven on a jet plane. I don't know when I'll be back again. Owner and CEO of Name Arena, premium domain brokerage as well. Has been in the domain industry for about 2 decades plus. Prior to Name Arena, worked for Safe Names, Network Solutions. I mean, a whole bunch. And fun fact, was actually a co-founder of NameJet. So shout out to NameJet. And a football guy playing college ball in PA. I'm from PA, so I feel that. Although he's a Steelers fan, I'm an Eagles fan. Sorry about this past weekend, my dude. And for the first time on the show, welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here, JT. Quite an honor, and it's testament to you as your sales skills, selling me to come on this show. As you know, I like to stay in the shadows. That's why you call me the dark man, because I don't reveal sources and methods, and I play under the radar. So
yeah,
that's why I like to do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was really the deal when you and I talked about it. And I said, hey, man, would you ever come on the show? You're like, oh, I just don't want to disclose really much of anything. I want to come on and BS with you guys and vibe. Like, I like you guys. You're my people. But, and, so we said, hey, we'll keep it light. You know what I'm saying? We'll be heavy on the Billy cut that. You know what I'm saying? We'll be heavy on the edit. But man, you've been in this space a little longer than I have. And, and longer than a lot of folks.
Longer than all of us. Longer than all of us.
And I
sure
think
longer than all of us.
I started in July of 2002.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed. The greatest decision. I kind of lucked into it. I worked for MCI for about 11 years, and the ship was sinking over at MCI, and there were some people that worked at NetSol that used to work at MCI, and I got in there and got into domains, and it's been the greatest decision ever. It's an industry where it's like a family. Jeff and I have known each other forever. JT have known each other forever. And, I knew Drew. A funny story with Drew, and he'll remember this. Right when we all thought we were going to die from COVID, we were working on a deal. And it's a good deal. I mean, really good deal. And I can't go into the domain, but there was some equity involved. And we're just about to close it. And then the world shut down. And I was like, oh, my God. My business is done. The world's ending. What the hell? And then something happened in April. The skies opened back up. The sun shined, and we got the deal done. It was a great deal. And I think at that point, I think Drew knew who I was, but we'd never done a deal together. And he appreciated and respected that I could pull the deal back together and get it online and get it done. So that was kind of a very memorable event in the domain industry, and then world events at the same time. So it was
very applicable deal to the conversation that we were just having, in fact. But the thing because like you said, we really didn't know each other at that point. I had heard of you, you had heard of me, but we had never done a deal before and didn't have any personal relationship at that point. So, but the thing I really appreciated about that deal in working with you, and I think I even said to my team after that, is like, man, he's a pro, and it's just such a pleasure dealing with a pro. And you were totally transparent, to the point of like, look, it was a very complicated deal. This was not a straight down the fairway type of deal. And you were like, you know what? I'm going to put you on the phone with my client. We're going to hash this out, and totally transparent. And I don't think there's anybody else in the industry that would have handled it the way you did. And I think that was the only reason the deal got done on my end, and I'm sure also on your
above and beyond. And I think professionalism is one of the things that's really key, right? It's like, look, we all kind of work at our own pace. We're working from home, like, we're sort of different levels of professionalism or even formality, right? But at the end of the day, like, getting shit done means doing what you say you're going to do, like, and and representing yourself well, you representing your client the right way. We're dealing with a different deal where somebody in the space that everybody knows, fucking around with a contract in a way that, like, it's like, it's either, hey, you're either real sloppy and incompetent, or you're on some devious shit, and it's like, either way, it's not cool, right? So it's like, you kind of recognize as you deal with people, like, some people either need to get their shit together, or they need to try to change their moral compass a little bit because the shit is askew. So anyway, I'm not naming names on the negative piece because that's not what we're here for. I think it's just also super cool how in this space, in the domain space, and we talk about this idea of coopetition, and how we do have the fact that you can have some of the biggest domain brokers in the space. You guys are obviously all on the escrow list almost year in and year out, and here we are bullshitting, talking about doing deals together. And, Jeff's got a podcast. I want to, shout that out too. You guys, if you haven't checked that out yet, to the audience, like, give that a listen. It's the same kind of thing. Like, we promote folks within the space that are our friends and our, colleagues. So anyway, all good stuff.
ICA last year, a domainer came up to me and said, I thought you brokers would be at each other's necks at this show, and it's surprising that a lot of you are drinking and laughing together. And I was like, well, I mean, I've known these guys for years, and it's nice to talk business, and it's, nice to hear what they're up to and how things are going, and talk about deals and things like that. I mean, I find that if Andrew calls me and says, hey, what's the price on this? I give him the price. We can have an honest conversation about where it's going to go, what's going to happen, and he goes and does it, or he comes back and says, forget it, it's not a thing. And then, like Steve said, move on to the next deal. And that's, it's refreshing, working with a broker that you call and just say, hey, what's the price on that? And they're like, oh, you need to make a minimum offer. You make a minimum offer, and then it's like X comma XXX is what you need. And it's like, oh, I need to know who your buyer is. Fill out this form. And you're just like, give me a fucking break. Like, let's do a deal. Like, if you want to do it, my buyer hired us for a reason. Your seller's working with you directly to do this, and let's come together and make something work so everyone can walk away happy, right? And that's the, that's the goal.
We're all going to eat.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Jeff, you bring up a good point. When you were starting out, Saul, you were kind of calling me, picking my brain about, I started my own company and you were going to start your own company. You gave me I gave you some ideas. And then when I was starting my company, I reached out to Mark Daniel, I had known for a long time, and kind of picked his brain. And, there's a great group of people that we share ideas, we share thoughts, we tell funny stories. Hey, you're not going to believe what this client did. And we're like, oh yeah, this client. So it's such a cool experience when you have people that we're not really competing, but we're in the same industry, sharing ideas, sharing thoughts, each trying to sharpen our skills and do a better job for our clients and make more money for ourselves.
Now, listen, I know I got sharp elbows, but I haven't gotten an invite into that little group. Where's my invitation?
Mark is a great man.
I'm not a bad man.
What was the name?
Termina.com. TERIM. Termina. Is that terminal in Spanish?
No, it's actually appointment in Spanish.
Okay.
Tengo una termina. Like, I have an appointment.
Is it a buy or a sell?
This was a acquisition.
All right, and okay. Spell it one more time.
You represented the buyer. Great name. I probably sold for a lot less than it's worth.
So you said it's Termina. Great name. All right, hold on. TERMINA.com.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And this was an acquisition. All right.
I don't know if it's developed yet.
All right. So you put it on your phone. Steve, you know how we do this? Oh. Ready? Yep. Ready? 3, 2, 1, flip.
Oh, wow. Steve's going low.
Steve, you have 10 grand?
Yeah.
If we were playing
Wow.
Limbo, Steve won.
So all right, so he's at 10,000 or 9,999. I'm at 100,000. Drew is at 149,000.
888. Not that it
Dang.
matters.
He's buying it. Just gonna get a good deal.
Well, I mean,
did it, but the price was 57,500.
woo!
Boom.
Yeah, JT gets it.
Woo! Let's go. All right.
Great. I mean, listen, that, that's literally appointment.com, except that in Spanish, it's even more widely used than the word appointment. And it just sounds better and it looks better and it's just more widely adopted and used. And Termina.com it's also just a good brand, whereas appointment.com is not a particularly great brand. That's a great domain. That buyer got a great deal.
Yeah.
Musiclawyers.com.
Oh, nice. It's funny. I actually got a little holiday card, one of these stupid digital holiday card emails from the number one, JT, you probably got it too, from the number one like attorney in the music business.
Yeah.
I got that in my inbox today, and it's probably the right buyer for that domain, because I couldn't even tell you the name of the firm because the name is so convoluted. But
because it's the last names. But yeah, we worked with them with part of 8bin and everything. Yeah. So,
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I got it too.
And then Gary stuck us with the bill. Thanks, Gary.
We did. Yeah,
thanks, Gary.
They're good because they weren't cheap. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So this was a buy or a sell on your end, Steve?
All right.
Oh, so you bought this. Okay. So now
You bought it on the drop, or did you buy it from someone who owned it on?
Do we share that information?
I mean, only if you want.
Generally, not really, unless
No?
it's like making a step difference in the price. I don't think it matters.
Musiclawyers.com. All right. I'm ready. I'm ready to bring this home before we even get to Drew. That's what I'm doing right here. That's it.
Well, hold on a second. I lost my calculator here. Hold on.
Well, you better bring it home, because I don't think you can participate in the one that I'm doing.
I know. That's what always happens, man. So now I'm going to be.
It's music lawyer, singular, right?
Plural. Yeah, plural.
Plural.
Musiclawyers.com.
Okay. I'm ready.
All right. 3, 2, 1, flip. Drew, yours is all right. So Jeff is showing 1,139. Drew is at 2,488, and I'm at 4,500.
What's Jeff? I can't see. What's Jeff's number? I can't see it.
$1,139.
Jeff is the winner. $511.
Oh, okay.
Wow, great buy.
That's a great deal. Yeah, where'd you get it?
I got it on the beloved NameJet platform.
Ah, man. All right.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I saw it, and I've done some work for music lawyers in the past, and it just caught my eye. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. And I never thought I'd win it, because I thought Braden would outbid me for it. But I don't know. He must have been sleeping. He must have been sleeping that day.
Well, it's interesting because we have Braden on the show all the time, obviously. And, when he talks about his legal domains, and he's got this, huge portfolio of legal names, I get the sense that they're not buying.
He poo-poos them. He poo-poos them mostly.
Yeah, he's not a buyer of names in that vertical. I feel like he's more of a seller.
Maybe. Yeah, I think he's still a buyer, but he poo-poos it. I mean, they're cheap. The lawyers are cheap. But at $500, I mean, that's an easy 10x, 20x.
20x
easy.
for sure.
I mean, that should be a quick money. EIQ.com.
All right, you're doing it. That's what I'm doing.
You want to go EIQ, or you want to go please drink responsibly.com?
Are these names that you bought or you sold?
These are sales, but from our own portfolio, not clients.
Okay. Which one are you going to go with?
I don't know. You guys pick.
I like them.
All right, EIQ.
All right, I'm out on this one. So if Jeff can get the point here, Jeff wins the game. If Steve gets the point, we'll use the other name as the tiebreaker. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
So let's see it. EIQ.com. All right, here we go. All right. Ooh, okay. Jeff is at 107,223. Very specific. Steve is at $149,000. And it looks like we are going.
So, first off, we got to bring these guys on more often because it makes me feel good. And everybody else always makes me feel bad about the things I disclose. So, I actually didn't think it was a great sale, but we sold it for $250. So, Steve gets it.
You get the point. We're going to own overtime, baby.
There we go.
Overtime.
I actually think, look, I've done very well with some of these 3-letter IQ names, also 4-letter IQ names. And because intelligence is like a huge there's so many enterprise applications for intelligence, and IQ is another way of saying intelligence, and it's an even more brandable way of saying intelligence. And so there's a lot of companies that use IQ in their brand name. EIQ, I had it priced at $750. Generally, I would never discount it that much, but it was end of year, and actually EIQ, it might have been the first inquiry we ever got on EIQ, or at least the first time we ever got a serious offer. They started around 50, gradually worked them up. They actually walked away. I think after they offered 150, which is what you pegged it at, they walked away, and then they came back and they said, "Look, 200. That's our best and final." And I said, "Look, if you can pay before the holidays, I'll give it to you for 250." And it did, and it just closed on Friday. So I let them have it, and I think they got a good deal, and I think I got a fair deal. And but I do think it's a great name. It's kind of emotional intelligence also, is EIQ or EQ. I think they say EQ more than EIQ, but still. Anyways, all right. So now we're going into overtime. We'll go pleasedrinkresponsibly.com between Jeff and Steve.
So it's 3 words. Please drink responsibly.
Yep.
Pleasedrinkresponsibly.com. 3 words.
This is big time overtime between two newcomers.
Actually, I've sold a few 3-word.coms. Not many though.
The domain
Most of them in
game,
like the insurance business
on the domain game.
Health.
Please domainresponsibly.com.
We sold a name that was a little bit longer, this one, and I thought to myself, I wouldn't even hand register that, and it sold for like $6,000, right? And so sometimes you see these that are just, this is a very common saying, though, especially in the United States in this particular time of year. And this could go if they really wanted it bad, and it's the right buyer, you could ask for something within reason.
We ready to flip?
But how do you commercialize it? That's the thing.
Well, Thank You for Not Smoking was a movie, right? And
DUI attorney.
There's definitely
Getting DUI attorneys like, drink to your heart's desire and then call me.
Well, they act like they don't want you to drink, right?
But it could be you could have like an alcohol company that uses it for campaign, So all right, let's see it. 3, 2, 1, flip your phones.
I think I went too high.
All
right, we got Steve's at 7,900.
11.
And Jeff is at 11,500.
It's a tight race, but Jeff takes it by $500.
Whoa! What was the total?
It was exactly $10,000.
Yeah.
And the buyer is actually making a movie, and I'm going to get a producer credit with a special thanks at the end of the movie.
A producer credit? You asked for the producer?
Yeah, I said I want a producer credit.
That's it, man. Boom. See, you can't get equity, you're going to get credit.
So you know what? I had priced this one at 25, and the reason I was a little bit firm with the guy, I came around when he said he'll give me the producer credit and the thing. He actually disappeared for like 6 months, and then he came back and he said, "Look, we're making a lot of progress. This thing's going to get made. Let's do something." And he offered to give me the credit, and I said, "All right, let's do it. Go ahead." And he said he's going to do something. He said he's going to do the movie's going to be like a public benefit. So, I think it's going to good hands. But the bottom, I think, of all alcoholic beverages in the United States now say, "Please drink responsibly." At the bottom of every can, every bottle.
Let's slide into the next segment. We've got NameJet Gonna Jet. This section is sponsored by NameJet. We're going to review a list of domains heading into auction. We're going to see what the Sherpas like, what they don't like. You can go to the Domain Sherpa website, DomainSherpa.com, to the page for this particular episode and download a spreadsheet that'll have a list of the names that we're talking about, along with estimate appraisals, some back order information, and other stuff. So to help y'all along in your process. And so let's go ahead and pull the list up and let's talk about it. Steve, we'll start with you since Jeff started the domain game, and you are next on sort of in the counterclockwise motion, order on my screen. And there's about 16 names, so you can talk about a couple of these.
Can I see the list?
Yeah, I sent you the list, man. What you need me to do? You need me to send? It was attached to the email, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what? I'm gonna put the list in the chat. Don't worry.
I missed the attachment. I have to admit, I was rushing this morning. I was playing softball this morning, so I literally came from the softball field, hopped in the shower, and jumped on this.
I forgot that you do a whole lot of softballs, like your jam, right? I mean,
that's it. I'll do three things. I play softball, I buy and sell domain names, and I eat.
There you go, man. Love it. But yeah, times have changed, man. It's different. The world's a different place. But anyway, all right.
For better or worse.
Yeah. All right, let's get into this NameJet list. So we threw it in the chat. I have it in alphabetical order. Drew's got it, looks like, in some kind of a estimate value order. So Steve, you want to go or you want to wait? What do you
wait? I want to see. I got to get to the chat. There's a chat that I can see the names. I still haven't seen it.
Down at the bottom of the screen, there should be the chat button, the little tube. The little
or if you just go into the email and there's the Excel sheet that I attached to the email.
I'll do that. So why don't you go ahead and skip me and then I'll go in there and look at that.
Well, let's let Jeff, since he's special guest, and Drew will talk about every name before anybody else even talks. So
says that I usually talk about less than everybody else.
I know. It's this thing. It's part of the show. Jeff, what do you like? What don't you like, man? What's up?
I think the clear winner that no one can really argue about is Samba on there, but that's obvious. I think ones that the stats don't really make it look great that I would like personally, that I think you could probably get it at reasonable prices, would be Go Natural would be one I'd like. If you're going to get it at a cheap price, you probably get it similar for what Steve paid for the music lawyer's name. And I think the other one, if you live in the Florida area, Sunset Village is something that's probably on, within every 5 square miles in Florida and every other vacation destination, whether it's a retirement community, another fucking huge real estate project, or something's called Sunset Village. But again, the stats might not notice that, and you could get a good deal there. And then, the one that I think could be, a false positive that you might end up kind of with a bag, like that's not great. I think, but it tells you kind of differently. I think Dinner Cruise isn't great. And the reason is it's such local small businesses that are, Google's made it so when you search Dinner Cruise, it's really just showing you results in a very small area. And it's a very, buy the traffic kind of thing. And I think trying to find buyers for that would be challenging. Contacting a lot of these small captains on lower margins, I think it would be tough to get that thing sold. Personally,
Yep. No, I think that's all really great feedback. I love referring to a name that you might end up buying and hanging on to for a while as a false positive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. I love that.
Like there's certain names, like someone will be like, "Look, going on your appraisal tool and it says it's worth $100,000," and I'm like, "Yeah, no, it's not." And these are the reasons why it's off, because these reasons, and those are all the wrong things making the system excited, and there you have it.
No, I think it's a great point. And I also think that, highlighting the names, the winners, if you will, we say it on the show all the time. You really make money on the buy, not the sell, right?
Samba, I think, would be hard if you bought it as a company, because you got all the old Adidas shoes that you're going to have to compete with in SEO that come up. And so you're going to have a hell of a time ranking for that. Same with if you buy an animal name,
Well, there's a software company from back in the day called Samba. There's, but even if you go online,
that's probably who owned it.
There's insurance. There is, it's.
I think it's the best name on the list. Without
a dance or a song, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much stuff in, that from a brand standpoint, I would agree. I think you obviously have to be careful around shoes and certain classes of goods, but there are plenty of companies out there that are using that name.
No. The point that Jeff was making wasn't about the trademark. The point Jeff was making was about SEO. It was actually a very astute observation that if you buy a common name that's like an animal or a type of music, suddenly you have to compete in SEO with all this generic content like Wikipedia and every samba enthusiast, so association and every little Brazilian community around the world, and like there's a lot, all the music, all the content, there's a lot of generic content that now you're competing against from an SEO standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, it's like good luck. Yeah. Like Llama got, is the name of the new AI product, but like, you're still competing with National Geographic and Wikipedia. Now, amazingly enough, you search Llama and the AI tool comes up first because, what a surprise. But, in with other normal companies, you got a hell of a job to come up as first, with something like that, So like,
very interesting. I just wanted to check it. If you type Amazon into Google, every single listing is applicable to. So 9 out of the 10 are actually from Amazon, and then there's one that's Wikipedia, but it's the disambiguation for Amazon the company and not Amazon the rainforest. Very interesting.
Well,
that took billions and billions of dollars to make happen.
But it's also human. It's also human. What they're converting on the search results, right? So Google knows what converts.
All right, Drew. What about you, man? You ready?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I already gave my thoughts on Samba. I like it, but it is, it's crowded. It's gonna be a tough climb. I kind of like Mercurial. I don't actually even know what does it even mean? What does Mercurial mean?
I love it. Like, I'm a big fan of
angered and irritated. It's not a positive word.
Yeah, but I like it. I always thought it meant like dynamic,
No.
It's sudden. It's subject to sudden or unpredictable changes of mood or mind. So I mean, somebody who's it's kind of like you, Drew. You're Mercurial. You know what I'm saying?
But it's not a positive.
I knew I liked it. I knew I liked it.
It's a positive adjective.
That's fair. That's a fair point. I actually thought it was, but
there are. If you Google it, though, there are. I mean, even Nike's got a Mercurial line. There's a couple of computer science
right, because you know what it is too. I consider like the god Mercury, right? And I think Mercurial.
Yeah, well, that's why I thought about it was Mercury. I was thinking about from that.
And according to Google, it can have both positive and negative connotations because it could mean animated, lively, or quick-witted. In fact, you might describe someone as having a mercurial temperament if they're clever, like lively, and quick. See, boom. Or if when used to describe someone's mood or behavior, it's usually a negative connotation, emphasizing volatility, unpredictability, and fickleness. You know what I'm saying?
You could have left it at the first definition. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's how I think of it. Though. Okay. That's how I actually do think of it positively. I like the word a lot. I think it could be interesting, especially from a crypto or some other kind of standpoint. Like if there's, to me, there's probably some tech leaning use for this domain, but I think it's also what you buy.
We're not talking about, a huge sale here. This is, it doesn't exactly roll off the tongue.
That's right.
I also really like City Dental. I think City Dental is a banger. I don't know what somebody's going to pay for it, but probably 10 to 25 grand. I bet you there's a solid buyer out there for investment solutions too. There's just so many investment companies called so many different things, and investment solutions is a pretty.
It's long, but yeah.
Yeah, that name is like a Josh Reason special. Like, when we have Josh on the show, he talks a lot about, kind of picking those words that at the end, like solutions names, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve probably naturally rejects the name because of network solutions, you know what I'm saying? Because of his history there. And I feel you, dog.
It's like it's like a histamine. It's an allergy.
You notice JT starts hugging himself when he starts.
I'm like, I feel you. I feel you.
No, it's like I gotta feel comfy again.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
I never think about places I got paroled from. So
there you go. Exactly.
But apparently I got an offer on DNA.net. Literally as we started this, I haven't even read the email yet, so I don't know what they offered. But I don't know. You know, like we sold a .net this month, I think. I don't remember what it was, so it couldn't have been anything to write home about. But we sell them once in a while. I've done pretty well with 3-letter .nets. Those have actually done well because they end up selling to like telecoms and communication companies and, you know, little IT companies, and, you know, and they go for $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. A good one goes for 25. So those have done pretty well for us consistently. But yeah, not as well as they used to.
Yeah, I find it interesting that you'll see companies using, you know, a random GTLD, and then you look and the .net's available for like $1,200, and it's just like, what are you doing to yourself? I mean,
I know.
And you're a B2C company.
Yeah,
like the consumer base is used to .net. People aren't used to some of these GTLDs, you know, and it's like you're stretching, man. Like,
well, we just had an issue.
I can't justify to pay more for a .io, for example, than for a .net. I don't know. To me, the IO thing is way overblown. I'd much rather own a .net.
Well, so a couple of things.
And I'd much rather own a .org above everything except .com.
Yeah. On the favorite.net, I know that favorite.com is for sale. So does that impact your decision to go after favorite.net if the .com is unused?
It depends what the price is on favorite.com.
Exactly.
If the price
and
is
who owns it, and
the guy wants 1.45 million for it. I mean, if you could put this up and buy it now for 30 grand, it would look pretty shiny sitting there for a company that takes a look and sees 1.4 and you're sitting there at 30. I mean, it's competition, right?
100%.
Especially you buy it for short money on the drop here. I mean, you could just sit, and that's a good position to be in, you know? And then
what
if
about
you,
Steve?
Sells, like first phone call you see it transfers, guess who you're calling? Let's make a deal, right?
I mean, .com is king, right? And you know, I agree with Drew on this. Anything other than a .com when you're in a commercial business you're not good enough, or you don't have the money to get there. And
that's right.
Getting a .net has a place in this space, but it's not for a serious business. I don't see it. So for the right buyer, maybe, but they have to have a very specific application for a .net. I think it's .com for any type of business that wants to be multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar business.
Unless you're Verizon.
Well, even now they're on .com, right? I mean,
yeah.
They, you know, they only hung around on .net for so long.
Oh, yeah.
Steve, how do you feel if the .net's available?
I knew I just bought a .net, but for like literally $100. But frequencies.net, which I'll probably own in 20 years. So,
well, hold on, guys. Steve, how do you feel about buying a .net when the .com is currently unused, both either for sale or sort of just lost in the ether?
Yeah, I mean, again, it goes back to price. I mean, obviously, Jeff made a good point that the .com is priced so high that .net could fill that gap and void of somebody that wants to start out and potentially maybe an entree into ultimately becoming a business that has enough cash that can actually go out and buy the .com. So that is a possibility. And it's going to be the price. I wouldn't pay a ton of money for .net, but I've seen a softening of the market of .net. I really just don't get very many requests to buy .nets. It's just not something that runs across my. I do get a lot of .ios. I get the AIs and and .orgs and .coms. So it's just .net is not something I particularly buy. Even country codes are much more prevalent for me in my business.
For sure.